All right, let's move forward here to the Sun Belt Conference. And James Madison is the favorite here, plus 110. Behind them on the futures table, App State plus 200, Troy at plus 600, Arkansas State at plus 700, Louisiana 14-1. Everybody else longer odds than that. Rocco, looking at the bracket here, this is another one where we have a day off between the second round and the quarterfinals, and then it's just your traditional schedule: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, with the championship on Monday, March 11th here. What is your first thought when you see this bracket?
Well, there's a lot of first thoughts for this one, but traditionally, I think it's really important to call out that this tournament is played in Pensacola, and Louisiana Lafayette head coach Bob Marlin's a legend there. He did a lot of politicking to get this conference tournament moved to Pensacola, and you saw, I think it was last year, Louisiana won this thing. So he feels at home there, and I think this is the third year they've done it there, and he, even though it's not near Lafayette, Louisiana, they have a huge contingency pulling for him. And that's always an interesting thing to keep in mind. The other thing going on in the Sun Belt, well, there's lots of things going on. Just announced this morning, Jay Ladner, Southern Miss head coach, is going to try to return from his health issues to coach. So maybe you get an inspired Southern Miss team, but a Southern Miss team is also full of NIL players that you're not sure how much they care. So really interesting stuff going on for the Golden Eagles. And then, of course, the big topic in bracketology land over on Brackets here is James Madison, who is still sitting there with only 3 losses on the year, got swept by Appalachian State, lost at Southern Miss, but besides that, went perfect in non-conference, had that big win at Michigan State. They had the Sun Belt MAC Challenge. James Madison beat Akron, who was their best team, and they also beat Kent State on the road. So there's a lot of debate about if they will be an at-large selection or not, should they not win this tournament. So that's probably the biggest storyline. But beyond that, going matchup by matchup, I think the sleepers to watch coming in are South Alabama and Texas State, both playing a lot better in the last 7-8 games or so. But they both didn't get the greatest brackets. I do think Texas State, they'll play Old Dominion in that early round. Should be no problem. Old Dominion just got a new coach a couple days ago, so they're pretty much done. And when Southern Miss plays Troy, that's going to be really difficult because, when Texas State plays Southern Miss, that's going to be difficult because we don't, like I said about the Southern Miss situation, are they going to come out inspired or not? I don't know, but I think Texas State will play well. So that's for you to decide. And then in the next round, Troy is very tough. They were my initial pick to win this. I backpedaled a little bit, and I'm going to go with James Madison to win, coming out of that side of the bracket. And on the top side, I do have Louisiana Lafayette, just to fast track this a little bit, coming out of that side, mainly because I know they're not playing their greatest ball here down the stretch, but they're defensive first minded. I got to cover their game against James Madison down in the Cajun Dome in January. And they have a great, tough-minded group of guys, and they're built for an event like this, plus the whole Pensacola factor. So if you're looking for a little bit of a long shot, the Cajuns are, in my opinion, a good one. And then South Alabama, Appalachian State, I expect to be in the quarters on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon their time. And that could be a really good game, the way South Alabama's playing lately. But I'll take App State to get to the semis and then lose to the Cajuns.
Eli, I think what was interesting to me about this bracket too, with number 2 James Madison, the 3 seed Troy, they haven't played each other this year, right? I can't remember the last time I've seen a situation like that with a conference tournament where 2 teams potentially haven't played each other. So it's just an interesting wrinkle in this bracket as well.
Yeah, I will say I want to counter Rocco a little bit on App State just because I've been high on this team all season long, going back to when they beat elite defense, man. 33rd in Haslametrics defensive efficiency ranking. When they upset Auburn at home in non-conference play, I think in mid-December, that was kind of the telling point to me, which I expected from App State maybe preseason when I was going through my numbers. But I'm very high on this team at that end of the floor. Just an elite defense. I know La Tech gets their flowers when you think about mid-major defenses and the upper echelon ones, but App State may be the best, at least when you look at some of the lower-ranked mid-major programs. Like the first time they played James Madison this season, and you think about James Madison being an elite three-point shooting team, which they undoubtedly are, but App State only allowed 17 three-point attempts, and James Madison shot 3 of 17. They run you off the three-point line, which is obviously the Duke's biggest advantage on a game-by-game basis now.
No, I agree. My bigger concern is App State away from home. They obviously took care of Old Dominion and Marshall at the end, but they haven't played a road game since then until the beginning of February, where they split with Georgia Southern and Texas State. Had to go to overtime with Georgia Southern. Lost at Texas State after that. Obviously a brutal stretch there. But earlier in the year as well, when they lost to Northern Illinois and Oregon State at the start of the year, both on the road, both those teams ended up not being good teams. Lost to UNC Asheville and Hickory, North Carolina at that community college gym. And, of course, lost at Troy early. I just think this is the big win was at James Madison. I just think those two teams have bad blood for each other. Good matchup, obviously, for the Mountaineers. And I agree. It is barely a better defense than Troy of late. And that's going to carry well in a tournament. And App State, of course, can win this tournament. But that was where my concerns were with them, is how much damage are they capable of on a consistent basis away from Boone.